As the old cliche goes, you can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. This seems even more true when applied to the conception and growth of a city. In this edition of Spotlight on Bowling Green, we'll be taking a closer look at the rich history and resources of our city and how today it offers so much more to those of us lucky enough to live here and for those of us that come for a visit. On January 6, 1812, Bowling Green was incorporated when the state legislature approved an act for the regulation of certain towns. Bowling Green was also given the honor of county seat after a half-decade battle between two other proposed communities.
There are a lot of advantages to being in an incorporated area. Chiefly, it allows you to elect officials. You could elect a mayor or a board of trustees or city commissioners as we do today. Unincorporated areas do not elect officials. Secondly, it allows you to offer the full gamut of urban services legally through state government. And for a community, they're able to offer those types of services as a community. Another advantage today is that incorporated communities are allowed to apply for state and federal grants that an unincorporated area would not be able to. So there are a number of advantages to being incorporated.
Because Americans were agricultural people in the early 1800s, Bowling Green in Warren County attracted farmers who wanted an abundance of cheap, fertile land.
In 1812, Bowling Green is still very much on the pioneer stage. We're sparsely populated, although from 1800 to 1810, the population of Warren County had doubled. Bowling Green was the seat of county government. It was a small community. There was really not a lot of need for city services at that point. So, yes, there were a couple of hostelries where people could stay, especially on county court day when court was held. You know, people came especially for land disputes or any other equity or civil disputes that they might have. And it was also a day, because they knew they would have a crowd there, that people would gather together and sell things that they brought from the farm, barter. Usually cash would not be changing hands or coins, because they could get a broom for a bag of apples, or they could trade a hog for something that they needed. We had a lot of nice arable land here, so most people were farmers at that point, and not a lot of permanent residents actually in the community itself. This is a very backwoods area of Kentucky in 1812. The chief people that are coming here are men who are receiving land bounties for military service, because the land south of the Green River was allocated for military warrants. And so if they had served in the Revolution, then they were allowed a certain amount of land for the period of service that they had in the military. People who did receive land who did not want to move here, they were just selling or bartering their land that they got through military warrants to someone else. So that's the influx of the population at that point, these people coming in who had received land because of military service. They're coming here too because they've been told that this is a wonderful agricultural area. We do have some undulating hills here, but it's fairly flat, and particularly in our county we have areas known as the Barrens, which many people thought at first were unfertile areas, but in reality they were probably areas that had been burned off by Native Americans early on. So they weren't completely free of, trees and scrub brush, but they were relatively large expanses of land that did not require the amount of work that a timber land would. So the farmers were able to come in. They found that actually these areas were very fertile and relatively flat, so they made great arable farmland. And this was very attractive to people. Also, we had a major east-west road that went through this area, the Cumberland Trace, and then very shortly thereafter a north-south road. So it was sort of a crossroads town. And then very early, not long after we're incorporated, we began to see people coming up and down the rivers on flatboats and sloops of different types, or keel boats. And then very early for Kentucky in the 1820s, we have slack water navigation on the Barren River. So we have transportation patterns out of this area. That's really important to a farmer, because a farmer doesn't want to have to just barter for things over and over again. He wants to be able to sell some of his products and maybe buy more land or invest in other types of enterprises.
Since its incorporation, our city government has developed from a small group of 5 trustees to a large municipality with over 450 employees.
City government has evolved quite a bit over the years. One, in terms just of the number of employees. I would say around 2000 we had about 390 employees. We're now at over 450. And most of that growth, probably 75%, has been in public safety, adding fire stations, increasing our police department. So there's been quite a bit of increase in terms of the number of programs that the city offers its citizens, as well as the size of some of the departments. Bowling Green has changed a lot since then with the growth, the number of industries, the number of stores, Western Kentucky University, a lot of the development downtown with the ballpark and the arts center. So there's just so much more for people to do here in Bowling Green. And as we bring in people from all over the country, and plus the international community that we have. One of the major additions is our Parks and Recreation Department. Over the last several years, we've added the Russell Sims Aquatic Center. We have the soccer complex on Lover's Lane, the Circus Square, also the skate park. We've got the relatively new Coomer Little Recreation Center on College Street. So there's a number of additional recreation and parks facilities in Bowling Green for our citizens to take advantage of. As part of our increased commitment to public safety, we built the police headquarters building around 1997 and built a major addition a few years later. We also have added 2 new fire stations, plus we replaced 2 fire stations over the last 10 to 15 years.
To celebrate the city's bicentennial, a week-long celebration was planned to spotlight the history and growth of our community.
The first thing we did during the bicentennial celebration was we kicked off the week with a proclamation signing by Mayor Wilkerson and the Commission, and we proclaimed that week Bowling Green Bicentennial Week. During the Bicentennial Celebration Week, we did a variety of things to try and bring some history to the folks of Bowling Green, and also to try and include the youth and include just everyone in some celebratory events. One of the things we started with was an essay contest for grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we asked them why they loved Bowling Green. And we got over 250 entries back and just had a wonderful variety of why these students loved Bowling Green, what it is that made Bowling Green special to them, and all of the different things from restaurants to amusement parks to some of our local parks. It was really wonderful to see why they loved Bowling Green. Our writing contest winners were then announced at an open house that we had here at City Hall, where we had elected officials and some city staff. We invited all of the writing contest contestants and we notified the top 10. Some of these students came and read their entries aloud, and we were able to let the first place and second place and third place winners know that they had won and present them with their check for winning the competition. Throughout the week, we also worked with a variety of TV stations and radio stations, and we tried to get the citizens of Bowling Green involved by giving them tickets to see the Kentucky Museum or the Train Depot or Lost River Cave, and go out into Bowling Green and actually experience some of our history firsthand. And so we gave away a lot of tickets to those venues and really hoped that we got our citizens out and involved. We also use social media, both Facebook and Twitter, to give some more tickets away, and also to kind of tweet out and put on Facebook some of our history. And we did little contests where we'd ask people to answer questions about either how old Bowling Green was, or maybe how old City Hall was, maybe to name some of our former mayors. And so that was just a great way to get the residents of Bowling Green involved in our history. And finally, to end the week of celebration, we had a large festival at Circus Square Park. We had inflatables for kids, a large bungee trampoline, we had some food vendors, we had a band, and our fountain was still going at Circus Square. It was a beautiful day with warm weather and just lots of activities for people to do, to kind of come out and just have a celebration, maybe a birthday party, if you will, where we could all come out and, you know, have some fun together as a community and celebrate Bowling Green, celebrate our local parks, our local downtown, and all of the things that we love about Bowling Green and the things that we've worked to achieve over the last 200 years.
If you would like to learn more about this or any other Spotlight on Bowling Green program, contact City Hall at 393-3000.